So what if you could build a company where AI isn't just a feature, but the actual foundation? We're about to dig into a fascinating document that lays out the blueprint for exactly that. And we're not talking about a tech company, we're talking about a luxury car dealership. But believe me, this is about way more than just a new piece of software.
And this quote right here, it just nails the whole idea. Most of the time, when people talk about AI in business, they're talking about, adding a tool here, an assistant there. But this blueprint, this is about something completely different. It's about rebuilding a company's entire operating system from the ground up, all around intelligence.
Look at this slide. It lays out the difference perfectly. On the left, you've got what pretty much everyone is doing, right? Level 1 to 10 AI. A chatbot, a plugin, simple tools. But on the right, that's the frontier. That's level 80. We're talking autonomous agents working around the clock, all part of one single, unified intelligence. It's the difference between giving someone a calculator and giving the whole company a brain. Okay, so here's how we're going to break this all down. First, we're going to look beyond the simple chatbot to really get the big idea. Then, we'll dive into the blueprint itself, the architecture. After that, we'll see it in action, first with how it buys cars, and then with how it sells them. And finally, we'll connect all the dots to see how this whole thing builds a massive, lasting competitive advantage. All right, first up, let's get beyond the chatbot. To really wrap your head around this, you've got to totally shift how you think about it. This isn't software you just install. A Level 80 system is a complete rewrite of how a company works, down to its DNA.
And that brings us to this key idea, the AI native organization. Now, the word to focus on here is default. Intelligence isn't some add-on you can turn on or off. It's the baseline. It's kind of like electricity in a modern house. You don't think of it as a feature. It's just there. It's part of the very fabric of the building, and it powers everything.
Okay, so how in the world do you actually build something like this? That brings us to our second section, the AI native blueprint. The source material has this brilliant analogy. It describes this system not as a bunch of software, but as the company's central nervous system. So let's look at the 4 layers that make it tick. This slide lays it out so clearly. It all starts with the data unification layer. All the company's data, customer info, inventory, market trends, you name it, gets pulled into one place. No more separate buckets of information. Next up, you've got the intelligence layer. This is where things like machine learning and those large language models, the AIs trained on tons of text to understand language, get to work, constantly digging through that data for patterns. The third layer is where it gets really cool, the agent layer. This is like an autonomous digital workforce of specialized AIs, each one built to do a specific job. And finally, you have the command interface. That's how the human team keeps an eye on everything and directs the whole system. Okay, so we've got the blueprint. Now let's see what it can actually do. We're moving into section 3, the AI acquisition engine. This is all about using that central nervous system to make one of the most important decisions a dealership has: what cars to buy and when to buy them.
And to make that call, the system isn't just glancing at a couple of data points. Oh no, it is pulling in and cross-referencing over 50 different data sources for every single car it considers. We're talking everything from global auctions to private networks. The sheer scale of data is just huge.
So you've got all that data from 50-plus sources, and what's the result? Speed. Unbelievable speed. A full comprehensive intelligence report gets generated in under 2 minutes. Now, this doesn't replace the human expert. It gives them a superpower. It lets them make these incredibly informed decisions at a pace that was completely impossible before. So, what's actually in that 2-minute report? Well, it's way more than just a price tag. It's a whole series of critical answers. How much money will we make on this car? How fast is it likely to sell right here, in our market? Are there any hidden risks with its history? And it boils all of that complexity down into one simple number, a predictive acquisition score. It's a complete strategic analysis delivered instantly. Okay, so the system has helped you buy all the right cars. Awesome. Now you've got to sell them. So let's move on to section 4, the AI Sales Copilot. This is all about turning that same powerful intelligence system around to help the human sales team right in the middle of a conversation.
And this part of the system is all about answering one huge question. How do you give every single salesperson the same intuition, the same deep knowledge, and the same market savvy as your absolute best, most experienced person on the team? How do you make that level of excellence just the standard?
Well, the answer to that superpowers question is this: a live feed of pure intelligence. Just imagine you're a salesperson, you're talking to a customer, and you've got this information right on your screen.
You can see their entire history, but you also see what they've been browsing on your website, a prediction of their budget, and even a profile on how they like to negotiate. It completely transforms the entire conversation.
All right, for our last section, let's zoom all the way out to the big strategic picture, building the moat. Because a system like this isn't just about being a little more efficient today. It's about creating an advantage that actually gets wider and deeper over time.
And this right here is the heart of it all. The source calls it the data accumulation advantage. See, every single interaction, every sale, every customer question, every change in the market is a lesson that makes the entire system smarter. It's a learning flywheel that never stops. A competitor starting from scratch today isn't just behind, they're falling further behind with every single passing minute as that knowledge gap just keeps on widening.
And this slide just perfectly sums up the endgame. A normal dealership might take hours to respond to a lead. The AI native one, under 90 seconds, and with all the context it needs. One buys cars based on experience and gut feel. The other buys based on hard data and predictive demand. And maybe the biggest deal of all, when people leave a regular dealership, all their knowledge walks out the door with them. Here, all of that knowledge stays in the system, compounding and getting smarter forever.
So, we've just walked through the blueprint for a level 80 car dealership. It's pretty incredible stuff. And that leaves us with one final question to think about. What does the level 80 version of your industry look like? What happens when intelligence stops being just an add-on and becomes the very core of how your business thinks, acts, and operates?